Hey guys, good morning. Today we're going to go a little bit traditional. I'm going to be working on newsprint with some black pastel pencil. So enjoy. So today I decided, since I've been doing so much digital work lately, especially in my professional life, I'm working a lot in ZBrush, I decided I wanted to go traditional, and I didn't want to do any characters today. I've really been feeling animals lately. I know that doesn't sound very politically correct, but sometimes you just kind of got to get back to your roots. You know, whenever I first started out drawing, my passion for animals was inexhaustible. I loved animals. I used to draw birds and tigers and lions and bears and you know, I just really loved doing animals. I loved all the intricacies. I mean, I would sit down for 8 to 10 hours and work on an animal drawing and just to explore the intricacies of the anatomy and the skin textures. And I would do this all traditionally because at that particular point in time, I didn't have a computer. So I basically went in with pencil and, you know, I was really in love with graphite. I think we go, you know, as artists, we go through stages of exploration with different types of media. At some point in time, I had a passion for graphite, and then another time I had a passion for color pencils, and another time I had a passion for acrylic, and then oil, and then I got into the digital world, and really exercising those artistic muscles and putting those tools, those artistic tools, you know, in your tool belt. You know, I talked about cultivating and really investing in that tool belt, because as artists, the tool belt is constantly being modified. You know, if you're not exploring or innovating or doing something new in your world, and innovation in the grand scheme of the world is quite difficult, but whenever you are innovating in your own world, you know, and trying something new and mixing media, it really helps out in your artistic tool belt, and then you can draw upon those things whenever you need to. So what I'm doing right now is I've really kind of fell in love with rhinos. I don't know why. I think it's because they're so just huge and bombastic and hulking masses that whenever you have that rare opportunity, whether you go to a zoo and you see a mama rhino babying her, you know, loving on her baby rhino, whatever it is, you look at those things and it just touches your heart. You know, I love baby animals. It's just something with me, and I think that's kind of in, you know, pretty much everyone, unless you're from a different planet. But I really love rhinoceroses. I love elephants. You guys know I love elephants a lot. I draw elephants a lot just because of their gentle nature, and, you know, the gentle giants. And I love, I just love drawing, you know, different types of animals, and, you know, exploring their anatomy and their, like I said, their skin textures and stuff. And I sat down this morning and I was going to do a digital drawing, and, you know, I just really felt like I needed to get into something different. So I grabbed my pastel pencil. This is a hard compressed pastel that I'm using. It's not charcoal. And I got my newsprint out because I figured you know, if I mess up, it's not a big deal. I'll just move on to something different. And I started, you know, I looked around for reference and photographs, and I found a really just gentle photograph of a rhino. And, you know, as I'm going through this, and I put in, you know, my basic forms and shapes, and I'm working into the shadows and putting a little bit of light texture in there, and you know, a little bit of a background. I started thinking, you know, what is a contrasting image that I could add that would really kind of show the gentleness of the creature. So I decided, you'll see here in a minute, because I'm going to grab another piece of paper, and I'm kind of going to sketch out a butterfly. So I'm going to end up adding a butterfly here in a minute. But what I'm doing is I'm going around the drawing, and I keep comparing my drawing with the reference. And you never want to use your reference completely to exactly what the reference is. You just don't want to copy. So the original reference, the head was down a little bit. and the lighting was a little bit different. So I had to go in and I had to change the lighting a little bit, and push and pull the reference, and it helps a lot if you've drawn a lot of animals, and I have. But yeah, so I'm really enjoying. I'm not a huge fan. I want to be honest with you. I don't like newsprint. I actually hate it because of the tooth of it. It's terrible. I remember in figure drawing class we always used newsprint because it was cheap and you go through a lot of paper, and I just hate the tooth of it. I mean, for some reason I always want to rub my nails on it. It's kind of like a chalkboard. It's kind of weird. That's little idiosyncratic things about who we are as human beings, and that kind of breaks out whenever I get newsprint. I just don't like the feeling of it. It doesn't bother me that it's so cheap, but it kind of bothers me the tooth. So what I ended up doing in college is I would buy really nice paper, and I think you get 36 sheets, and I would go through the nice paper with my figure drawings, and it got expensive. I'll be honest with you. It really did. Each one of those tablets was $10, $15, and might even more than that. And I was going through 3 a week. So yeah, I should have used newsprint, hindsight being 2020, but you kind of get in those situations where you don't want to change. And that's, in my youth, I think I was kind of staunch. I always wanted to do certain things in my artistic life, my artistic vision, and I wasn't very open to other things. I remember taking my first digital class, and it was Photoshop, and I hated it. Oh my gosh, I hated Photoshop so much. I sat there and I couldn't get the interface because I didn't know computers, and I didn't know how it could help me. And back in those days, they didn't have, well, they did, but the school didn't have them, the Wacom interface. So I was using a mouse, which was absolutely horrible. And I just hated it. I hated using the computer. Of course, nowadays everything has changed. I've been using computers, golly, for over 20 years. And that kind of shows me of how, whenever you first start something, it can be so hard. I remember starting ZBrush back in the day, and I started sculpting in it, and I had watched a few tutorials, and of course everybody else makes it look easy. But what was really, I think, challenging for me was the different verbiage that went along with learning a new computer program and a new world. So I stepped into this new sculpting world, and I was coming from a traditional background. So I was thinking line, I was thinking, shading, I was thinking all of those things. And, whenever you work in a 3D environment, things, you have to think in terms of polygons, polygon count. You think of, your mesh and how you can't have certain topology that is bad. And I know all these terms are probably foreign to you guys, but again, that's adding to that artistic tool belt that you always really need to do. I've said on this channel before, it's very important that you're always challenging yourself and always striving to be better, because that's how you get better. There's an old saying that says iron sharpens iron. You don't want to be around people that, bring you down, or you don't want to be around people or situations that really aren't conducive towards growth. And even whenever you think you know something will be introduced into your environment that it'll give you a different perspective, and then it'll help you see. Here I am trying to sketch out my butterfly, trying to, kind of get a composition of exactly what I'm going to do. But, in that new environment, or in that environment, it'll challenge you in such a way that it'll really make you ask yourself, how can I be better out of this situation? And I think that comes with age. I'm not that old, and I'm not saying that, right now you can see me, I'm searching for a reference for a butterfly, just to kind of give you guys an insight. And I think the older I get, the more open I am to change, which is kind of weird, because a lot of times, the older you get, the more staunch you are in your ways, and you don't want to change. But I'm using it as an opportunity to really change myself and mold myself into something new. And get inspired. Because I've been, like I said, I've been sculpting a lot, and I've been doing a lot of stuff digitally, and I really got down into a rut, to be honest with you. Where I live, it's really gray, and the weather's been terrible. It's been very cold, and I think that really has shaped, especially my current status of emotional health. And, you know, I was looking, because I usually rely upon that to really help bring me up. I'll go outside for half an hour, get some sunshine, and it'll make me feel better. And that hasn't happened. So I've really had to look in other places to kind of cheer me up. And this really, I mean, this drawing right here really cheered me up. I spent about 30 minutes on it. So you guys are seeing a time lapse that is 2 times what it normally is. It's kind of a bummer that I didn't look at my camera. I got so involved in what I was doing, I didn't look that the top of the butterfly's wing was not in frame. You'll see a full shot here in the end, so no big deal. But, I mean, you guys have seen butterflies before. Just a standard monarch butterfly that I have on the end of that horn. You know, the composition is pretty straightforward. I started out with the rhinoceros, and then I kind of moved into, you know, putting the butterfly up there. And I just want it to be a moment, you know. Sometimes in drawings you have those moments when you just want to express something really simple, really simplistic. And that's what this is. You know, I'm not looking to do a really detailed illustration and sitting down and spending 10 hours on it. I just really wanted to just have a little moment in time when it kind of cheers me up. And you know, baby animals, and especially baby rhinoceroses. And man, have you guys seen any videos of baby hippopotamuses? If you feel upset or you feel down, you need to Google that, because that'll cheer you up more than anything. I'm telling you, baby hippos. Now, whenever they grow up, they're you know, rolling death. But on the other hand, the babies are just, you just want to hug them and hold them and have tons of fun with them. And I'm the same way with rhinos. So anyway, yeah, so I'm wrapping up. I'm just doing a couple details. I've kind of, once I put that butterfly in there, I was like, you know, I don't really want to do much more on this. I don't want to spend too much more time. You know, I'll keep it at about 30, 35 minutes and call it a day. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. I didn't really enjoy the feel and the texture of the pastel pencil. I used to work in pastels, the really soft ones, you know, the ones that cost $1 billion to buy a set. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the drawing, and we're going to do just a really quick overview of the drawing. And like and subscribe if you like what you see, and more drawings come up. Make a comment if you like what you saw, and we'll see you next time. Bye.